Good morning. Welcome to OG Foundation, capital of the sovereign state of Valodium. I'm sovereign non-Valodium, and this week the main project is working on insulating the gate tower roof, and then eating as many of these plums as I possibly can. That's my primary sugar source, and then also feeding as many of them to the chickens as I can and sharing them, making sure as little as possible goes to waste. We've been kind of maxing out the energy system, using all the power that is being harvested, which is a good sign that at some point soon the energy system will have to be upgraded. More panels, maybe more batteries. We shall see. So here's the work zone for today. Before I get started, I've got a start of filling the edge of this ferrocement structure with these recycled insulation panels. And there's a lot more, so I'm going to be piecing them together like a big Tetris puzzle. And then over here, this crevice here is ready to be filled with insulation pieces, and then it'll be ready for aircrete once I continue this ferrocement wall along that rebar line, and then I get it all mortared in along the base line. So like right up in here, it takes a few coats to kind of make the transition from the wall to the existing structure. And once I can get that bottom layer along that ferrocement wall, then I can work with aircrete in here and fill this whole area here with insulation, and then work my way this way. So that's kind of my goal. So my first task for today is to extend that wall right there with the lath. So extend the forms, add another piece of lath, and extend it along this rebar line this way. But as long as I can get it like just past the corner, probably with all the remaining lath that I have, then I can proceed with doing insulation in that corner, which is basically going to be my priority. But since every batch of mortar, you need to have so many surfaces to work on, and that might not be enough for a whole batch of mortar, I have to have other surfaces to work on. So I'm also building this staircase and kind of figuring out this section kind of at the same time. So that wall goes over here, and then where I'm standing right now is going to be higher. It's going to be a higher level than over there. And because this tunnel is sloped down at the corner, that's where it needs the most insulation. So I've been prepping that area, and I'll have to keep prepping that area. That is the situation up here, as I'm trying to kind of solve for many different things at the same time, but the priority is that ferrocement wall. One other thing I want to show you just at the start of the week is this staircase here. So it's quite narrow, but I've got the steps on for basically kind of up to there, and it is going to need at least one more step, I think, but I'm not totally positive. But basically today I can pull the form behind, that's still behind that step that I mortared, and then hopefully I can fit it in on that step to get that vertical. The vertical is especially difficult when the diamonds are vertical like that. You never want the diamonds vertical, really, to try to apply mortar, especially on a vertical face. The diamonds going vertically just doesn't hold it the same as the diamonds going horizontally. So that would be very difficult to mortar without a form on the back, is basically what I'm trying to say. And if you're ever doing this, you'll figure that out yourself very quickly, that you don't want diamonds going vertically. Yeah, so that's all. I made one of the final design decisions, which is that there will be 3 levels overall. So this is going to be like terraced, and there will be 3 different levels. So up at the top will obviously be the highest level. I was thinking it might all be 1 level, but the way that it turns out, I don't want it any thicker than like 6 to 8 inches right there as far as the crenellations and standing over there. So then here, where it gets quite a bit taller, will have to be like a top level, and it might even like make sense as like a table or something where you can kind of like walk around it, and then that would be like elevated level. Anyways, we'll see. But I attached 2 more pieces of rebar to extend that curving piece that kind of like splits right there by that plastic thing that sticks up, which is covering an air vent, PVC vent in the ceiling. And then over here, the rebar bends down into the other wall. So 2 more pieces of rebar that'll eventually get like lath with another vertical wall going around there. I'm all out of lath for now, but there's a good bit of mortar I can do before I need to buy more supplies. So I'm onto mortar now that I've prepped. So by Wednesday evening, after 2 batches, this wall has some pretty decent coverage, and I got, the most important thing is the bottom there, to make sure that I can get that bottom all packed out. So I made a lot of good progress and integrated that lath there. There's one little drainage hole there, which will be a temporary thing, so that water doesn't pool up in there. And then more over here, and then more on the staircase over there. And then also just kind of anchored in this rebar, which creates this line for the highest part will be on that side of the rebar, like in that circle. And then this will be a little bit lower right there, so that you can kind of stand behind the crenelle and not be too high. So that's all for today. Oh yeah, and then over here I got coverage on all of the stairs here. So all the way up to there. And then I just got to figure out if I need another stair or what. But it's all starting to come together, but there's still a number of steps. I just had a breakthrough. And elegant in its simplicity. So lots of confusion on how to proceed. So I realized I wanted to use the minimum kind of like width right there, and I have that one piece, so that's gonna be perfect right there. So basically what I'll do is I'll level that, and then I'll build a ferrocement wall out over it with remesh bonding to the ferrocement wall on either side, and that will set my level for this lower area. And then if I build that wall, then that wall can be the staging ground where I do the aircrete pours on either side. So now I've got a plan. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'll have to get some insulation on the right side over there. So tomorrow I'm gonna like pin this against the wall really well, stabilize the insulation from up underneath, get insulation in where I need to get it in, and then so like prep the remesh essentially, and then do mortar to anchor it in. And then this will be a great kind of, it'll take a couple days, but this will be a great workspace for the aircrete for the rest of this. This evening is the start of Vangare and Gala's wilderness expedition. I tried to get them in trees and they jumped right out. So it's not the best start. But I'll sit with them for a little while until sundown and hopefully they'll reunite. Gala, I tried to put in a tree over there and he jumped out. So I took Vangare over here to put him in the apple tree. He jumped out. Oh, there's Gala over there. So they're close enough to each other. And they might, I'll try to stay long enough till they get into a tree. About 5 minutes later and the brothers are back together. Now they'll just have to figure out together to come into a tree. Come on, Gala. Follow Vangare over here. Success. I had to catch him and get him up there, but Vangare in the tree. He tried to get up from the rock once, then he gave up and he was settling down on the rock, and I was able to catch him. Now let's see about Gala. Come here, Gala. Well, I can't catch Gala. He's getting a little kind of thicket there, so hopefully he'll find cover. Took me a while, but both chickens are in the tree. Good night, boys. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, fishies. Utan and the fishies. There's at least 8 of them. Or no, there's at least 9 of them. Fishy family growing. And then I'm going to build additional water features. And then eventually the fishy family can grow into all the water features. Plus there's 4 more inside. Good fishies. Good morning, boys. How was your first night? I was wondering where you were. The tree's right there. They're hanging out in the sun. You boys hungry? I'll get you some foods. Good boy, Gala. It's okay, Gala. You flighty bird. Follow Vangare. He's so bold. You good, boys. Hope you guys have a great day out here. I'll be back tomorrow. Good luck on your first day, boys. So there's a number of different ways to do this. And basically what I've done is I've wedged one of those black pieces of foam that has an angle under it, under each corner. Spray foamed that so it has some support. And I was thinking yesterday I would start by like anchoring in the corners of the rebar, but I decided actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a full batch of mortar right on top of that insulation, get all that remesh tied together, and then like tomorrow I can worry about actually anchoring that slab into either wall. That seems like a pretty good way to go about it. So I'm just going to make a batch of mortar with a lot of fiberglass in it. Here's how that turned out. That's one batch. So half bag of Portland. I substituted 1 bucket of sand for a bucket and a half of stone, roughly. And it's probably got in between 1 inch and 2 inches throughout the whole thing. I worked into the remesh. So I didn't use any spacers. I just kind of like, as I went, I worked into the remesh, picked the remesh up, make sure the concrete is all bonded underneath of it. And really happy with the result. Just gotta let this sit for a while and focus elsewhere. So by Thursday afternoon, I was able to get 1 batch of mortar on as well. And so there were some cracks that had formed on it. And so I got that to bond pretty well and started anchoring the edges of the remesh and finishing prepping that area. Tomorrow I'll be able to walk on that. I'm really excited for that. And then just making progress on these side walls, because now that I got to start, I'm going to be able to extend that plane and know where to work from. So that's pretty cool and exciting. So, but that's it for today. There's rain forecast, and hopefully this all dries enough before the rain comes for it not to wash away the mortar. I mean the cement. Look who made it through night number 2. And you boys survived all day long yesterday. Oh my gosh, I gotta get the camera on here. You go, boys. Survivors. You gotta be careful out here though. This is right where the other chickens get eaten. You gotta be ready to get into cover. Alright, come on, get some food, boys. Come on, Gala. You go, boys. You gotta get your food, Gala. You gotta get re-energized, recharged, so you can survive a whole nother day and another night. You can learn on the wilderness all your survival skills. You go, boys. Alright, say goodbye to the viewers watching. I'll hang out a bit longer. See you guys hopefully tomorrow. It's time for the big moment. Finally, I'm able to walk on the plane that will be the future level of the top of the castle. Probably just raised by a little bit with future layers of mortar. But this is pretty cool. You got all this space. I get a really good idea of what the Merlons, like the height of the crenellation relative to this, which is basically perfect height. I wouldn't want it any higher. So I'm glad I did it at that level. And there's a lot of work to do to extend it. I'm not quite sure where to start, but it might be just filling this hole here with insulation panels. There was a big windstorm yesterday. I guess the leftover from a hurricane, maybe Debbie or something. But a number of trees fell. This is the kind of endork basin where the water collects. I guess it was too wet for those trees' roots to really root them in with all that wind. A lot of wind damage. Hopefully those boys are alright. Another big one here. Uh-oh, I'm not seeing my boys. There's a couple feathers. That would probably be Vangare here at the bottom of the apple tree. Not looking good. Looks like Vangare definitely got eaten, mostly right here. Maybe Gala's alive, I don't know. Love those boys. I hear a rooster over there. I think Gala survived. I'll go look for him. I heard you, Gala. Keep talking, buddy. I'm coming. I'm glad you survived. Where are you? Poor guy. His brother, Vangare, was so bold. And Gala's so cautious. And hey! It's Vangare. I thought it was Gala that got eaten. You good boy, Vangare. I mean, I thought it was you that got eaten and Gala that was talking to me. What a bold boy you are. You survived. Good boy. Woohoo, Vangare. Somebody's happy to see me. He's just coming right up. You good boy, Vangare. So proud of you. Get your breakfast. Your brother got eaten, huh? Yeah, sorry about that. You're doing great, though. He's such a good boy. Come on, buddy. He's following me, walking towards me in the sun, which are both in alignment on this side of him. And he's coming with us back towards the apple tree. He's so bold, and he is so smart, and he loves me. He comes to me, and he follows me. He has so many great traits. He's such a good boy. I'm thinking, his spirit is just so great, but I'm thinking I might bring out some more of his brothers with him, at least one, tonight, so that he's not alone, and it'll give him a better chance of survival for his 2 weeks as well, if there's another boy that might get eaten before him. It's hard for a chicken to survive out here, but it's possible. It's been done. You go, boy. Come on, we'll keep going. But I'm just so happy he survived. And rest in peace, Gala. He's a great boy. He's got a blessed spirit. Well, I was going to lead him kind of back to the apple tree, but he's got other plans. He probably knows it's more dangerous over there. Maybe he's hiding in that bush. But we'll see him tomorrow. Maybe bring him some company tonight. We'll see. Love you, Vangare. Goodbye. Good luck. The moomers are going from one apple tree to the next, looking for all the drops. They're so smart. Down here at the lower gate, it appears the wind has forced an entry. It broke the things that I had barring the gate, so I'll have to fix that as well. So today Penelope is coming out here as well. I was feeling bad that Vangari's out alone. Oh, there he is! And then I went to look for him. I couldn't find him. I walked over to where I was on the other side. Look at him coming running. I was like, oh no, I couldn't find Vangari. And then I was gonna go back, and I was thinking like, oh, I don't want to leave you out here on your own. And then I finally decided to leave him out here. And then when I get him out here, Vangari comes running. Ah, so good. So they'll be together, except they're going 2 different directions right now. And that's Penelope. But I gave him a new name. He's been renamed today, Peloponnese. So on his day out into nature, he gets a more fitting name for him. And so Vangari and Peloponnese can be together out here. Oh, he's chasing him. Well, they're together. They'll stay together. Vangari will be dominant, and Peloponnese will stick around with him. But I'm so happy that they're together, and I can carry on with my day. Doing a little maintenance on the solar panels on top of the shipping container down in the lower area. Beneath the, you can barely see it, but beneath the citadel. I realized I had it all wired wrong. There was like 2 things that I had connected in parallel that were wrong, and it was giving an issue. It's like resistance or something was wrong. So what there's 9 panels. There's 3 parallel series of 3. So there's 3 in a series. There's 1, 2, 3. These 3 are in a series, and then these 3 are in a series, and these 3 are in a series. But the way it was wired, like those were in parallel, those were in parallel. I don't know, it was confusing. Anyways, I'm making some new wire. I'm rewiring it, and hopefully by the time I'm finished with this, it'll work. So I rewired a good bit of this, did a lot of troubleshooting. Still not sure if I fixed it, but I understand it better. And I was able to narrow down like what's going wrong. It's really confusing. It's like each series of 3 seems to work well, but then and they all have the same voltage, but then when I put them in parallel, it doesn't seem to be working. It's very confusing. And then the clouds going over, and it's all very confusing. I tried to get out this other solar panel to help troubleshoot, but I'm not going to put that up here. It's actually got different voltage. I'll end up hooking it up to the other solar system. I've got 2 of those, so that'll be good to hook up at some point. But I think I improved it, but I don't really know. I almost rolled a P there. I improved it. All right, we got it. All right, I fixed it. It's back over a kilowatt of charging. So I guess whatever I did worked. It's cloudy outside, so it's going from sunny to cloudy. But I wasn't able to get above like 200 or something watts before. So at one time I saw it up to like 1.2, 1.3 kilowatts. So that's all good. Now I can get back to what I was meaning to do today on the insulation project. I put this thing underneath the drain pipe from the citadel, and I've used it strategically to collect rainwater, and then after the rains pass and there's a dry spell, I'll release it and it'll flood into this and it'll feed all the trees. And one problem with that idea is that this becomes filled with mosquitoes. All these little mosquito larvae in there. So what I've decided to do is I took 3 of the goldfish out of the fish tank in the living room, and there's one left in there that's going to be on its own, but I'm going to put them in here now, and they are going to have lots of food. And this thing floating both protects things from drowning, to have something to get on, and it'll also protect them potentially from if like a bird happened to land in the air, like a stork or whatever they're called, the ones that come and eat the fish, herring or something. So anyways, we'll see in a couple days to a week the mosquito larva count in here and how the fish are doing. Sunday morning, come on up on the chicken spot. Pelopponnese's first night. Vangari, that would have been, I'd have to look back 4 or 5, I think. He's almost halfway through the challenge. You boys alive? So, last time I came over here in the morning, well, I saw Vangari around here. And the second time I came back, he was coming down the hill from over here when I came back with Peloponnese, or Penelope at the time. 4 guys in him. Hey Vangari, good morning. How you doing, buddy? Good boy. I guess there's a couple cows that got, maybe even one of the cows in the, I don't know if it was in the video. Good morning, buddy. But it's a breakfast. Woo. One or two of the cows I got harvested several days ago. So what's left of the carcass is out probably like less than a quarter mile from here, and that might be relieving some of the pressure, some of the predatory pressure. Oh my God! Hey, it's Peliponiche. Hey, buddy. Good morning. Surviving first night, huh? You hungry? So I was kind of concerned a little bit that Peliponiche might actually be a girl. That's what I was thinking after I brought him out. Because I was like, oh, I've never actually heard him make the sound. But I mean, his tail feathers are clearly rooster tail feathers. The girls don't have tail feathers like that. Oops, sorry, buddy. Get some food. Glad you boys are doing good. Sticking together. Alright, say bye to the viewers for today. Bye. So on Sunday morning, I've got the sides packed out with scrap foam and spray foam. And then I kind of like just tried to cut out around the remesh so it always has at least some clearance. I try to anyway. Some of it's touching the foam, but I'm ready now for another batch of mortar with a lot of fiberglass. And then this one is really going to be able to anchor this slab, which is almost like floating, to either side. So it'll be a big progress. So the platform now extends from wall to wall, and I got the last bucket kind of just like cleaning up that and the wall and the drain there. I think that's the last time I have to do that on the drain. And now the next step is that once that's kind of dry, I can start filling this whole hole here with insulation and bring it up to the level of the cement here, and then I'll finish off that corner before going this way and all that. But that's it for now. I'm on the second mortar batch. We just got a freak rainstorm. Got punished instantly for not putting a drain in this section. I had a couple of drains, but I had to fill them because they're both in this insulation part, and I didn't want water going into there. So now I've got a big water issue. I gotta figure out what to do with that. The rain came back with a vengeance after the first one, and then I was able to recover. Another freak storm came even worse than the first one, and neither of them were on my forecast. This is how well I barricaded it for the second one as it started coming down. So I feel like I did a pretty good job. I was doing this in the rain. Like I did a pretty good job like barricading this. But look, let's see how much water. Still got a freaking lake. That's how much water. Rain came again. So this time, I'm going to try to siphon it out and see how that goes. That works a good bit better than the manual method I had done. It just goes slower. But as long as I can keep the hose in place, then the siphon will drain all that. But it was really quite an error to build this without putting a drain in that. So basically, until I'm able to cap this, I'm going to have that problem. And now that I think of that, I'm considering reprioritizing what I'm working on to do the top of this first, so that I don't have to keep dealing with this, because every time it rains this is going to be an issue, and so I need to cap this whole top off. So I might just do the top next before this. I'm thinking I'm going to do the thick layer on the top because it's not going to be meant to stand on, and so it won't be an issue for the height. So I'll probably use those biggest panels there for the very top. Those are like a foot thick of that black, whatever it's called, insulation. So I'll have to figure out a way to get those up here. I might have to cut them in half, and then it'll still be difficult to get them up. But I'm thinking about reprioritizing due to this situation that I've created, where every time it rains, it becomes like a lake in here. Oh, where'd you go? Come back here. Monday morning, Vangari and Peliponiche were over by that apple tree when I came over today. And then once they found me, they both ran on over to me. I love them both. Monday morning, and there's a decent amount of mortar damage, mostly in this valley where it was collecting all of that water. What I did over here is, but I think this is still fine to walk on even though that was yesterday. So what I did over here was I foamed this 1/2-inch tube, because that's what I ended up using to siphon it out. So I foamed it in place where it can form a siphon on its own. And so that's going to be kind of my temporary solution. So if water gets up to a certain level, then it'll engage the siphon and then it will drain it. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. So I also put two more pieces of rebar up here to connect this to that wall up at that level, and then rounded the corner there with the rebar. I'm not sure how necessary those are, but I feel better about it. And the big thing was I carried these two things up here by myself through this like narrow little thing there, up a muddy hill. It was maximum exertion over a period of time, but I got it done. And so what I'm going to do with those two is I'm going to just put them up here on the top of this dome, and that's going to be like my top deck basically, or like it's going to form this level here, and everything will change after I put that in. And so I just don't want to put it in too early, because I might have to do some mortar before I put that down, like if I want to put a final batch of mortar on this. But I don't know if I will. I might just go straight for that, but I'll move them around and maybe give you another shot. So there's just one of them, and so it's like perfect. It almost reaches to the stairs. I do have two of them. I just don't want to put, and two should be like perfect width. I think it'll fit. I just don't want to put it up there yet because I have to do some more prep. I can't do the mortar today because it's going to rain again today. So I'm thinking that it makes the most sense for me to do metal prep for this whole top section, because I ended up getting more lath. So I'll basically just clear all this stuff out and do metal prep, and that just gives a good idea. So that'll be like the middle layer. It goes basically right over to the staircase, so I might not even need another stair right there. I'm not quite sure, though I did break this top stair by stepping on it. And that's a good way to get an idea of the strength of the material. So I was kind of just like using it as a stair. It was working just fine, but when I put a little bit too much pressure on the outside cracked down, because that one hasn't been reinforced yet. It's just kind of like floating out there. So I was overestimating its strength, and therefore it broke, and I got another data point on the material strength and mortar mixed with the lath. But it'll be fine. I'll just mortar over it and repair it. So then over here, this side wall, I'll tie remesh into this side wall, which will go right over this. And I might even be able to set up some of that metal work before, I don't know. So I'm gonna have a lot of metal work to do. But basically, that level, that's the lower level. It's about 2 steps in between this level here and that lower level. So I'll probably end up putting like a stair right around this transition once I do extend that. But I'm having a bit of confusion, complication, largely because of like the drainage issues, largely in this valley. So I'm going to work on capping the top and then capping over here, and then that will resolve that whole drain issue. And then I'll probably do all of the other areas afterwards. In what order, I'm not quite sure, but probably continuing with that corner again. So with the stuff cleared out, you can now see what the top of that structure looks like. And my plan is to use that width of insulation for the top. So that thing there is basically acting as a guide that's sitting level. So that'll be a guide for how tall to make the Ferrocement sidewall. I don't need to go any taller than the top of that. So now I can run the lath and know where to end it. Eventually tie the remesh in as well. I'm trying to figure out the correct order of operations with all this stuff, which is a bit tricky. But ultimately, I'm wanting to use those big insulation panels, which are down there. There's that one, oh boy, I almost dropped the phone. There's that one piece on its side there, and then those 2 pieces there. And I imagine with the 3 of them, I should be able to fill this whole thing with 3 pieces, or at least most of it. But how exactly I'm going to do this, I will have to figure out. All this bamboo here is growing out of this fish tank, which is kind of like the centerpiece of the living room where Utan used to live. And now there's just the one little goldfishy in there, and its 3 little fishy friends are in that outdoor tub with all of the mosquito larvae. And so what I did, you probably can't really tell, but I cut back the bamboo pretty severely, but it's still just so prolific in here that it's really hard to tell. So it grows out of the fish tank there, but then it like grows out and all the way over here, and like this shoot all the way over here is bamboo growing out of the fish tank. But anyways, I'll show you what I did with the bamboo that I cut back. So all the stalks that I cut, I kind of put in this floating tray here, and now the bamboo has a chance to root and to grow, and to make this an aquaponics setup as well, where it can filter the water and grow from the waste from the fish, which are feeding on the mosquito larvae. And I won't be adding any food to this tank. And this should probably be good for probably another month or 2 until it starts maybe like before December, I'll probably take the fish back out. But it kind of depends on the mosquito larvae. As long as they're still making larvae, then I'll keep the fish in there. And we'll see probably in several weeks if all this bamboo dies or if it roots. So by the end of the day Monday, I basically got the metal work prepped for the top ring of this project. And I'll do mortar tomorrow. I guess that's it for today. Good morning, boys. Did you make it through another night? Tuesday morning. Yesterday they were right over here, around that tree, and they ran right up to me. Well, I hope they're okay. You out here, boys? It's always when I record looking for them that they seem to be dead. It's like karma or something. Well, let me look around a bit for them. Hopefully I find them. Oh, I'm so happy to see you boys. Oh, you're such good boys. Good morning, you good boys. How are you? I was worried. I was so worried. You good boys? Oh, I just love you, Vangare. You're such a sweet boy. You're good boys. Staying on the move, making sure no predators track you down. Over here, over there. You never know where you're going to be next. So that's all from these boys for the week. Vangari's on over a week of survival now, I think. I gotta check. But Vangari's halfway to successfully completing his survival challenge. Pelipanichi's in the in his third day, I think. That's all from these boys for this week. Bye, boys. The boys had their fill. Now they're leaving me. Going to look for cover or maybe water. But Pele's leading Vangare. This right here is Gendel. She was born this year. She was the only girl of the batch of 9 that all survived the raccoon attack and the other things. 1 girl, 8 boys, and she is a strong and big and bold girl. She was even stealing some fruit from Dino earlier. So that water feature thing with the bamboo in it at the right over there, it has so much mosquito larvae in it, and those fish are so small, they didn't have a very good chance of bringing it all into balance. So what I did is I actively decided to remove some of them. So I netted a whole bunch of mosquito larvae. At one point I was thinking of netting some bigger goldfish and putting some bigger goldfish in there, but this turns out to be the easier option. So I'm just gonna dump all of these mosquito larvae into the big water feature where all the big goldfish are. Well, I guess they're not going right for him. So by the end of the day on Tuesday, I got 3 batches done. Got that remesh, like the ends of the remesh there, really well integrated into the wall, except for just a couple places where it's pinned, but that's all good. So tomorrow I'll be able to smooth all that out. Got mortar up over that siphon thing, and that piece of rebarred in, and then I got basically 2 coats on all of this where I put the forms up yesterday. So that should be enough where I'll be able to take most of those forms down tomorrow and then get mortar on the backside. But it's got pretty good coverage around this top ring, sort of. And everything this week kind of got turned upside down again because I thought I was going to start in the corner, but it turns out I've got to start kind of at the top and work my way down. And also over here, I'm a little confused about what I need to do underneath there, if I can just fill it with insulation now or not, because of that whole drain issue. And I don't know when it'll rain, so I just want to, the faster I can get this done, the better. And we'll leave it there for this week. Some of that lath will get cut off, so it's just kind of like trying to stay level with this thing here for the top. So that's all for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week. Say goodbye to everyone, Gendel. You sweet girl. She's been eating all my plum leftovers. She's so smart, following me around whenever I get them. Probably eating like 30-40 plums a day. They're small, but it's like 2 out of 3 meals a day are plums. And then eggs for the third.